This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so let us start, right? So let the others join in between, right? So yesterday we were discussing regarding the advantages of SAP over and above other enterprise resource planning tools, right? So do you have any questions regarding the yesterday session so that we will continue with the session if you have any questions? Any questions do you have?
No, sir.
Okay, so if there is no questions, then we will start. Let me share my screen. Okay, so yesterday we were discussing regarding the advantages of SAP. So the first and foremost advantage of SAP is we have seen SAP will support the English as a language primarily. Apart from that, it will also support the country specific languages like German language, etc. We have seen yesterday. So then what is the advantage number two of SAP? So the advantage number two of SAP is, right? So it supports the solutions that are common across the world, right? Support solutions common across the world, right? Like let us say I want to buy a TV in India, right? So what I will do, I will go to one of the LG showroom and I will pay some amount of money and I will bring the TV into my home. At the same time, if I wanted to buy a television in US, I also will follow the same process, right? So I will go to a showroom and I will pay some amount of money and I will bring the TV into my home. So this is a common process. If you go anywhere in the world, the process is same. So such type of common solutions are the common business processes require a software solution. So SAP is available to provide the solutions which are common around the world. But there are some other solutions which are specific to a country requirements. Like in India, if you see the tax structure, right? So we have some 4 years back, we have a tax structure known as we have a VAT, we have education cess, right? We have secondary education cess, right? Like that, we have a complex tax structure during 4 years back. During 4 years back, yes, India's tax structure was one of the complex tax structure. At that time, also SAP was able to support the complex tax structure of SAP, complex tax structure of India by providing one of the specific module which will be able to address the tax structure related to company related to India. So that particular tax structure, right, was addressed by SAP by using one of the module known as SIN, right? So SIN module was one of the module which was introduced during 10 years, during 4 years back to address the country specific requirements of India tax structure. When I say SIN, it is called as country India version. But today, right, we do not have a tax known as a VAT. We do not have education cess. We do not have a secondary education cess. Instead, we have GST in place today, right? In India, we are using GST like Central Goods and Services Tax. We have state GST. We have IGST. So GST solution is now available, and but SAP was also able to provide. SAP was also replace the SIN module and was able to provide the solutions for the GST as well. At the same time, nowadays in US, right, or Brazil, if you say take a Brazil, if I want to implement SAP in Brazil today, so I need to implement the Brazil tax structure within SAP, right? So Brazil tax structure is one of the complicated tax structure. If you see in the world, Brazil will come first in the complications of the tax structure. Later India, but now India also became a little bit easy tax structure after introduction of the GST, right? So if you want to implement SAP in Brazil, so then we need to implement the country specific tax structure which belongs to Brazil, right? That means it will provide the solutions which are common around the world. Along with that, it also provides the solutions which are country specific legal requirements as well. So this is one of the secondary advantage of SAP system. Apart from that, what is the advantage number 3? Advantage number 3 of SAP is it has tight security controls, right? When I say tight security controls, it has tight security controls. This is the advantage number 3. Means I said we have various modules in SAP, right? Yesterday we have seen we have SAP Materials Management and SAP Finance. Let us say I am the person working in the SAP MM. So I should have only access to SAP MM transactions. I should have access only to SAP MM transactions, right? But there is one more person who is working upon the same server. He is working upon SAP FICO. So he shouldn't be having access to SAP MM transactions, even though that person is working upon same server. He should have only access to SAP finance related transactions. But how I will control within the same server the access? Finance consultant should not have access to finance related transactions, and MM consultant should not have access to. This will be controlled in SAP by using one of the functionality known as roles and authorizations matrix. So by using that particular matrix, you will be able to control unnecessary authorized access to a particular person, right? So this is one of the major advantage. Then we have advantage number 4, right? So advantage number 4 of SAP is it has integration between different modules is fully integrated between SAP Materials Management and the SAP Finance modules. So the integration is very much SAP modules are very much highly integrated. When I say highly integrated, the meaning is let us say if I do some transaction in SAP MM.
Sir, sorry for interrupt, sir. Please increase your
Pardon me?
voice, sir.
Pardon me?
Hello,
Yeah.
sir. Please increase your voice, sir. It's very low.
My voice is low. Let me check my connectivity.
Sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. The voice is not clear.
I have full volume here.
Hello.
I have full
But,
volume.
there is a problem. The
Sir, I
voice
guess
is
somebody
also
has to mute because there is a lot of wind voice coming.
Okay, I think I need to switch off fan. Yeah. Now can you hear me?
it's okay, sir.
Okay, so there is fan going on, so because of that maybe you are not able to hear me. Is it clear now?
Right now, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's okay, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, you should have told me in the beginning. Okay, so now let us see. So SAP Materials Management. Let us say if I do some transaction in SAP Materials Management, it will have implications in finance module. SAP Finance. Sometimes if I do a transaction in SAP MM, so it will have implications in sales and distribution modules, SAP sales and distribution. Sometimes if I do a transaction in SAP MM, right, it will have implications at SAP QM or quality management module, like that. So there are various modules. Every module will have integration between one of the other module based upon the transactions or the events which you are performing. So this is one of the major important part in case of SAP. But if you take why a integration is required, the integration is required because you wanted to track the events or the business processes in a proper manner. If you are using SAP in your company, if you define one process in SAP, no one will be able to deviate that particular process. But if you are using some of the other softwares where there is no integration, you can do, you can deviate the process. But if you deviate the process, what will happen? If you deviate the process, there will be so many issues that are coming in the financial terms of a particular company. So if somebody defined a operating procedure, your system also should be able to follow the same process. You should not have any loopholes within a system so that someone will follow the or someone will deviate the process. It will cause a lot of financial implications to a particular company. So SAP is one of the highly integrated software when it comes to all other enterprise resource planning tools. So then we have advantage number 5. So the advantage number 5 is it has a very strong client server architecture. Strong client server architecture. So what is the latest client server architecture that SAP is using is SAP R3 architecture. Architecture. So what is SAP R3? When I say SAP R3, it is nothing but SAP R means real time, 3 means 3-tier architecture. SAP real time 3-tier architecture. So when I say a real time architecture, that too a 3-tier. So what is the meaning of the 3-tier? So the meaning of the 3-tier is it has a 3 layers in processing a data. Right, so when I say R3, it has 3 layers in processing the data. So the layer number 1, So the layer number 1 in the SAP R3 architecture is, we call it as presentation layer. Then what is the layer number 2? So the layer number 2 is the application layer. So then what is the layer number 3 within a R3 architecture? So the layer number 3 is a database layer. So what is a presentation layer? What exactly it represents? Presentation layer will be able to provide the access to the SAP servers. Let us say I am the person who want to work upon SAP. So I need to have the access, right? I need to have a user ID, I need to have a password so that I will be able to log in into SAP and perform the transactions, right? So presentation layer is one of the first and foremost layer within a SAP R3 architecture, by using which you will be able to access the SAP system. So presentation layer, it enables, right? It enables access to SAP systems, access to SAP system for the users. Users are nothing but the people who will be using SAP, so that they will have access to SAP, and within SAP they will be able to perform the transactions or the configurations or the programs, etc., based upon the roles and authorizations that are relevant for a particular person. It enables access to SAP systems for the users so that they will be able to perform their specific task or work. They will be able to perform the task assigned to them. If I am the functional consultant, I will use configuration, I will do the transactional data. If I am the developer, I will do the development. If I am a security consultant, I will be doing the security activities by using a presentation layer. So I will try to give some background on presentation layer, right? So this is just for your representation purpose only, right? Let us say I wanted to have access to SAP system, right? So what I have to do? I need to first download one of the interface, right? You see there is one icon over here, right? So this particular icon will be called as a SAP logon, but technically we will be calling that as a user interface, or we will be calling that particular icon as a GUI. So when I say GUI, so the full form of the GUI is nothing but graphical user interface. So if I wanted to access SAP systems, I need to download this particular graphical user interface by using one of the link, right? So if we completed some 4 to 5 classes or 10 classes, then we will be able to provide you the access to SAP system. At that time we will share one link, so you need to download this particular graphical user interface via that particular link. We will also help you out how to download this particular SAP login. You need not to worry. So once I have downloaded and I need to configure, we will also provide you the server details, etc., so that you will be able to configure them. Say I have configured the following server details. I already have the access. I will try to show it to you. So this is the application server 183.82.121.186, and the instance is 41 and the system ID is EEE. So these are the server details that are provided by a basis consultant. So I have configured them over here. so that I will be able to log in into this particular server. So once you have configured, so you just need to double click on this particular icon, right? So I will double click on it. When I double click on it, a login screen will be opening over here. So here it will give you the information of the SAP version. So this is the ECC 6.0 EHP 7 version. When I say ECC, it is nothing but Enterprise Core Component Enhancement Package 7, right? So this is the version which was used during 2000, I think 2012 at that time. So this is one of the previous version, but we have now one of the latest version that is known as SAP HANA S4 HANA, that is version 1907 and 192020 and 2021, like that. So if I want to log in into SAP system, I will be provided with one user ID and the password details. Let us say I have the user ID as Babu and the password as program@999. I just need to click on enter button. So right, so once I have entered a user ID and the password details, so I will be able to log in into one of the screen known as SAP Easy Access menu. So this particular screen where I am able to do the transactions based upon my roles and responsibilities will be called as a presentation layer, right? Presentation layer will be able to provide access, right? That is what we discussed. So this is how you will get access to SAP screens by using a presentation layer, so that you will be able to perform the transactions. Let us say I am the SAP materials management business user. Let us say I am working in a procurement department. I wanted to create a purchase order, right? So there will be hundreds of transactions, but just for your reference purpose, to give some understanding on what exactly a presentation layer, I will try to create one purchase order. Let us say I will go to a materials management, I will go to the purchasing, I will go to a purchase order, and I will go to the create. I will click on ME21N, right? Just for your understanding purpose, if you are not able to follow, no issues at all. We are going to discuss all these topics again and again in one of the coming sessions. So let us say this is a purchase order creation screen. So I want to enter all the details that are required mandatorily to create a purchase order, right? So I will be entering vendor, all those things. You will come to know what is a vendor, what is a purchase organization, what is a purchasing group, what is a company code, what is a material, and what is a PO quantity, and what is the net price, right? So all these details I need to maintain it over here as a procurement supervisor. Let us say I'm trying to create a purchase order. So this way I want to create a purchase order. So by using a presentation layer, I am able to perform I am able to create a purchase order, right? So this is, I just shown you one example over here, but there will, like this, there will be hundreds of transactions you are going to perform if you got a chance to work for SAP projects, right? So this particular layer or the screen where you are able to perform the transactions will be called as a presentation layer, right? So then what is a next layer? So the second layer is a application layer. So what exactly a application layer is doing in SAP? So application layer is nothing but a back-end programming part, right? backend program part, where various hundreds of programs are there, where there will be many programs executed, programs executed, executed. So every transaction or the event will have its own program defined, right? Based upon the event, one of the event which I am doing is I am creating a purchase order, right? So whatever may be the programs that are relevant for the purchase order will be executed in the backend, right? Backend database. So that particular program execution will be called as a application layer. Let us say what I will do, I will remove this particular net price and I will click on, I'm trying to validate a purchase order. So it is saying, see, it is saying it is validating a purchase order. It is saying your net price must be greater than 0. You haven't maintained any net price. Without maintaining a net price, you will not be able to save a purchase order. Your purchase order is not a proper purchase order. You have created a wrong purchase order. So the message is, or the such type of information your system is trying to give. But how this is possible? How it came to know that there is no net price? Because whenever I am trying to validate a purchase order, there are various backend programs which are belongs to a purchase order creation are getting triggered, and they are trying to validate the properness of a particular purchase order which you are trying to create. So I will try to show it to you, but you will not be able to see the programs in the front end screen, right? This is the front end. You will be able to see the programs in the back end only. So I just wanted to see what are the programs that are getting triggered when I am trying to create a PO. Alright, so I just click this particular field will be called as a command bar, right? So I just need to enter /h over here and I click on enter. Again I will click on enter. So then it will direct me into the backend programming part. So here there are so many programs which are getting executed, right? So let us see. I just wanted to show a program over here. You say, so this is a very complex program. Yes, this is one of the complex program that is being written, which is related to a purchase order screens, right? 1 minute, give me 1 second. I need to take water. Give me 1 second. Can you hear me? Hello.
Sir, audible, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So if you have any doubts, you can ask, you can raise in between, right? So no problem in that. If you have any doubt, you can raise it in between. No problem in that. So are you able to follow, right? What I am trying to explain it to you, right? But this is just a overview which we are giving. So we will see each and every topic in detail when we are going into the further sessions. So So this is like this. There are hundreds of programs that are available in the back end, which will try to validate or which will try to trigger when you are creating a purchase order, right? So this particular backend programming part will be called as a application layer. So for the backend programming, so the language that will be used in SAP is, we call it as ABAP language, right? So every software will have its own programming language, right? But in SAP, we will use one of the programming language known as ABAP language, right? So when I say ABAP, so can anyone tell what is the full form of ABAP? Any idea from this group? Like in case of Java, we will use Java language, right? And C, C++, right? In the same way, if you are using SAP as a software, in SAP, we will use the programming language. This is nothing but ABAP. We call it as ABAP. So the ABAP full form is Advanced Business Applications Programming Language, right? So Advanced Business Applications Programming Language, right? But we need not to worry about programming. Why? Because we are not going to write any program. We are functional consultant. So there will be a separate group of people who will be creating the programs. They will be using the ABAP language. So we need not to worry about it. But if you learn how to debug a program, that is well and good, right? Nobody is going to stop you if you want to learn programming part as well. That is quite good if you want to learn programming as well as a technical subject which we are trying to discuss. So then what is the next? So the next layer is, that is the layer number 3, which is known as a database layer. What is a database layer? What is exactly a database? Can anyone tell what is a database in a software? I think you might have heard about it, database, right? Any idea what is a database? Anyone from the line?
Storage of data, sir.
Yeah, so database is nothing but a memory device where you are going to store the data, right? Let us say, let me go back. So I tried to create a purchase order, right? I tried to create a purchase order. Then I need to save that particular purchase order, right? So what happened? It went gone. Let us see. I will try to create a purchase order, right? Once I have saved this particular purchase order, it should be stored somewhere in the system, right? Why I am storing this particular purchase order? Because I wanted to maintain the history of this particular purchase order. Today I created a purchase order. I wanted to see this particular purchase order after 1 day or after 1 hour, after 10 days or after 10 years down the line. So I need to maintain the history of this particular purchase order. I need to store somewhere this particular document which I have created, right? So that I will be able to fetch this particular purchase order while generating a report or while doing a subsequent transactions, etc. So database is nothing but a memory device. Like if I purchase a mobile, if I go to the mobile showroom, first and foremost thing I am going to ask is how much GB this particular mobile is having it. Is it a 54 or 108 or 256 like that? We will first, the first and foremost question which we will ask is what is the memory of this particular mobile, right? Why we are asking about concerned about memory? Because I wanted to store as much data as possible, right? If the data memory is very high for a particular mobile, I can store the large volumes of data. Why I am storing the data? Because let us say I downloaded a video from YouTube today in my mobile. It will be downloaded and stored in the memory device. Why I am storing for 1 year? I wanted to extract the video from the database. I wanted to view that particular video for my representation purpose. In the same way, in SAP also, not only SAP, you take any software. If you do some transaction created, so that will be stored in the database. You need to maintain a history of the transactional data which you are creating in any one of the software, so that you will be able to fetch those transactional data whenever there is a requirement in the future purposes. So let me try to create a purchase order. So I have saved this particular purchase order, means I maintained and everything, right? I also maintained the price. So I just try to validate this particular purchase order and I try to save it. When I created a purchase order, so a purchase order number 44500222499 is created, right? 450222499 is created. So this particular purchase order which I have created will be automatically stored in the database. How it is stored we will see. So in SAP, the data is being stored in the format of SAP tables, right? So in SAP, the database will have various tables, thousands of tables will be there based upon the transaction which you are doing. If I create a PO, it will update 2 or 10 tables, different tables. It will update. You will come to know what and all those tables in our coming sessions. But in SAP, the data will be stored in the format of SAP table, right? So the data will be stored within the tables in column based format and sometimes in row based format, right? If you take a latest version of SAP, in the latest version of SAP S4 HANA, the data storage within a database is column based format. But in case of the previous version, that is ECC version, the data will be stored in the row based format, right? So when I say a table, so every transaction will have its own tables updated. There are thousands of tables in SAP. But when I create a PO, so there are two tables known as EKKO is one of the header level table for the PO, and item level table will be EKPO. So these are the tables which will get updated in case of a purchase order. I just gave you two table example, but in the real time you will have multiple tables that are getting updated in SAP when you create a PO. So I just wanted to show it to you how a data is stored in these tables for the purchase order 450022499. Right? So if I wanted to see a table data, I need to go to one of the transaction known as SC11. You will come to know all these transactions, so no need to worry about it. So I will put the database table name as EKKO, that is the header level table. So I will click on display button. So I will go to the contents. Then I will give a purchase order number 45300 22499. So this is the 45300 22499. So I just need to click on execute button. So you see, I created a purchase order. I have given a purchase company code as 3000, and I have given this is the vendor number, right? And this is the user ID which I have created. Let me try to change this particular naming convention. It is in technically, I think I need to change it to normal descriptions. You see, so it is created by me, right? So I have the user ID as Babu, so it got created on my user ID. So like that, every individual element which you have entered while creating a PO, everything will be updated in this particular table, which is a header level table, right? So every table will have so many fields. A table structure is very much complicated, right? It will have hundreds of fields included in it. So this is one of the header level table where a PO data is getting stored. So then I will try to show it to you the item level table as well. So I will go to the item level table is EKPO, right? So I will put EKPO. I need to get into the display button. So I will go to contents and I will input the purchase order number. I just need to click on. So this is the item level table where you will be able to see what is the material for which I am trying to create a PO, right? Then how much quantity I am ordering. I am ordering 1000 quantity, and what is the per piece value and what is the total value. Everything you will be able to see in this particular item level table. So how many fields it has, you see there are hundreds of fields that are available. So right, every field will be updated in the database tables. So why you are there are 364 fields within a EKPO table, right? Every field will be updated based upon the information which you have entered while creating a PO. So like this, there are thousands of tables within a SAP. So the data will be stored in the SAP in the format of a SAP tables, right? So this is the layer number 3 where a data is getting stored. So in SAP, the data transfer within a R3 architecture is a bidirectional data flow. Means I created a PO, the data transferred to database layer number 3 via a application layer. Means the data transfer will be a bidirectional. Sometimes it will transfer from a layer 1 to layer 2. It will flow in this direction. I have created a purchase order. Tomorrow I wanted to generate a report for this particular purchase order. Then the data will be transferred from database layer to a application layer and display the purchase order in front of me. So that means the data will sometime transfer from presentation layer to a database layer via a application layer. Sometimes it will transfer from database layer to a presentation layer via a application layer. So the data transfer in SAP is a bidirectional flow between these three layers. let us say I created a PO, right? Tomorrow I wanted to generate a one report. I wanted to see this particular PO. So there is one report which I will be executing so that I will be able to see this PO. Let us say I will try to run this particular report, or I will try to run this particular report. This is the report where you wanted to see the list of 1 minute. So this is the report where you wanted to see the list of purchase orders that are created and pending for delivery from a vendor. Let us say I wanted to see all the list of purchase orders that are created for a plant 3000, and it has a scope of list as ALB, and it has a document type as NB. Right, so I just wanted to see this particular report. Right. So for this particular report, the details will be fetched by reading the tables and populate in front of you. You see, I am able, these and all the so many purchase orders are created, right? But how my system was able to display these details in front of me? Why? Because it will read the database table, and from the database table it will fetch the details and display in front of me as a report. Right, so here the data transfer is from table to a presentation layer. When I create a PO, it is from presentation layer to a database layer. So like that, the data transfer is happening. So this is some introduction which I wanted to give it to you regarding a SAP R3 architecture. Because of this R3 architecture, the SAP became very much popular in the market. So SAP was able to use in very big organizations as an enterprise resource planning tool because of the R3 architecture. Right. So do you have any doubts or clarifications on R3 architecture? Any doubts? Are you able to follow what exactly a SAP R3 architecture? Any doubts or clarifications from the team? You can hear me, right? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so are you clear on this, or do you have any doubts?
No doubt.
Okay, okay, then good. So then, if you want to still understand what is SAP R3 architecture, so in Google there is very good documentation. You can go through that and study what exactly the SAP R3 architecture. Why? Because why I'm trying to explain this much of time is because it is a interview question. If you go to any SAP materials management interview, they will ask what is a SAP R3 architecture and what are the layers that are available within a SAP R3 and what is the meaning of or the purpose of each and every layer, so that you should be able to explain the way which I am trying to explain it to you now. If you still wanted to study something more related to SAP R3, in Google there is a good documentation where you will see the SAP R3 architecture. Right, so I will just go to SAP R3 architecture. Right, so here you can see, so SAP R3 architecture tutorial guru. If you go over here, There is a very good documentation over here related to SAP R3 architecture. You can study some information related to R3 over here. It has a presentation layer, application layer, and the database layer. You will be able to understand some meaningful information over here as well. So then what is the other advantages of SAP? So the other advantages are, in SAP projects, we can divide the people working in SAP into 4 categories, right? So 1 minute, let me write it down. Demo on 1612. So in SAP, the people or the consultants working in SAP will be divided into 4 categories, right? So there are 4 types of consultants in SAP projects. So, right, so the first category of the consultants in SAP, we call them as a technical consultants, right? Technical consultants, or we call them as a ABAPers as well. If you go to any SAP project, they will call the technical people known as ABAPers. So what exactly the technical people or the technical consultants were doing in SAP projects? So these people will be doing the new program or the codifications, right? So by using a ABAP language, these people will develop new programs or new developments or codification. So this is the main work for these people. If I want to develop a custom program within SAP, so I will reach out to a technical people. They will develop or they will write a new program based upon my requirement. Right? So their main work is new program development. So this is the category 1 of the consultants that are working in SAP. Right? So why I am giving this information? If you are placed in a project, you need to know who all the various people that are working in your project. 5 minutes, right? So that you will be able to coordinate and consult the relevant people for a particular issue which you are facing. So then the second category of the people are basis consultants. So what these people are doing? So the basis consultants will mainly involved in system administration activities. System administration activities. System administration activities means, let us say I am running a company, I want to implement SAP over there, right? If I want to implement SAP, it is not possible within 1 or 2 days, right? So I need to have so much of setup to execute a project. So I need to do various activities before kickstart a project. Like the first and foremost activities, I need to buy the licenses from a SAP company, right? Buy the licenses from SAP company. So the basis consultants will be able to coordinate the license procurement part from SAP. So this is the one of the activity. Along with that, they will also help to the client in getting the server accesses, right? I want to implement SAP, so I need to have the SAP servers available with me along with the licenses. Then only I will be able to have the access to the SAP systems, right? Also, I need to have a project infrastructure, right? Means if I am running a software project, so I need to have a project infrastructure. Like I need to have a laptops, I need to have a desktop, right? So I need to have computer peripherals, various computer peripherals, right? Such type of activities are the will be provided by a basis consultants, right? Then what is the third category of the people in SAP projects? The third category is security consultants, right? We are not falling under a technical, we are not falling under a basis, we are not falling under a security. We will be falling under a fourth category, but the security consultants will be doing security related activities, right? Let us say I discussed, right? Security controls. I discussed. Let us say I am the person working in a production materials management department. I should have access to only a materials management related transactions. I shouldn't be having access to sales, or I shouldn't be having access to finance related transactions. But how this will be restricted? This will be restricted with the help of a security controls. They will create some roles and authorizations. Based upon the roles and authorizations, they will be able to control the access to unauthorized transactions, right? So the security consultants will mainly involved in the security related activities or the security controls. So then the fourth category of the people are functional consultants, right? So we people will be falling under the category of the functional consultants category, right? So functional consultants is having a very vast role compared to a technical people, compared to a basis consultant, and compared to a security consultant. Foremost people who will be directly dealing with the client, right? So the functional consultants are mainly at client facing role, right? Of the client, we will be listening what he is saying, we will be taking the requirements or the inputs from him to develop a software. All those things we will be doing. Okay, so we will see in tomorrow's session what exactly the functional consultant roles and responsibilities in SAP projects, and we will stop the session for here today, right? So do you have any queries or clarifications on today's session? Any doubts or clarifications do you need on today's session?
No, sir.
Okay, so if you are not able to follow, you can stop me at any moment of time, right?
సార్ నాకు చిన్న డౌట్ ఉంది సార్.
Uh,
యాక్చువల్గా ఇప్పుడు మీరు పర్చేసింగ్ వెండర్షిప్ అని చెప్పారు కదా సార్,
uh.
వాడి గురించి అసలు వెండర్షిప్ అంటే వెండర్షిప్ కి మనం ఎప్పుడు వెళ్తాం, అసలు వెండర్షిప్ అంటే ఏంటి, హౌ టు, అంటే మనం వెండర్స్ ని ఏ విధంగా కాంటాక్ట్ అవ్వం, ఈ డీటెయిల్స్ అన్ని ఫర్దర్ గా వస్తాయా లేకపోతే ఎట్లా సార్?
వెండర్స్ ని ఎట్లా కాంటాక్ట్ అవుతాం అంటే అర్థం కాలేదు.
ఐ మీన్ అంటే ఇది ఒక వే ఆఫ్ ప్రాసెస్ కదా సార్. ఎంఎం అంటే వే ఆఫ్ ప్రాసెస్ మెటీరియల్ కోసం. ఐ మీన్ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇప్పుడు ఒక మన దగ్గర 100 ప్రొడక్ట్స్ ఉన్నాయి అనుకున్నాం సార్.
Uh,
సార్ టైం ఉంది సార్, కొంచెం 2 minutes చెప్పాకి.
చెప్పండి 2 minutes. ఓకే.
యా ఒక 100 ఐటమ్స్ ఉన్నాయి అనుకోండి సార్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ బిగ్ బాస్కెట్ అనుకున్నాం సార్. మన దగ్గర ఈ 10 ఐటమ్స్ లో ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ కస్టమర్ కి వచ్చేసి ఒక ఎక్స్ అనే ఐటమ్ కావాల్సి వచ్చింది సార్.
ఓకే.
ఎక్స్ అనే ఐటమ్ వచ్చినప్పుడు మనం ప్రిపేర్ చేసే ఐ మీన్ ఒక పెన్ ప్రిపేర్ చేయాలో లేకపోతే ఒక మౌల్డ్ ఏదో ఒకటి, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఒక మౌల్డ్ తీసుకుందాం సార్. తీసుకొని ఒక సోప్ అనుకుందాం సార్. దాని రా మెటీరియల్ కావాలి కదా. ఇట్లాంటివన్నీ ఈ టాపిక్స్ అన్ని మనకి ఇట్లాంటి కాన్సెప్ట్ అన్ని మనకి ఎక్కడ టచ్ అవుతాయని నా క్వశ్చన్ సార్. అంతే.
అంటే అది థియరిటికల్ పార్ట్ కదా. ఇప్పుడు ఆ థియరిటికల్ పార్ట్ని మీరు ఎస్ఏపిలో ఎట్లా మ్యాప్ చేస్తారనేది మేము చెప్తాం. అది యూ ఆల్రెడీ
ఓకే
నో,
సార్.
రైట్? యూ ఆల్రెడీ నో వాట్ ఈస్ ఎ రా మెటీరియల్, how to buy a raw
యా
material, what process you need to use to buy a raw material, right?
ఓకే
Those processes which you are using to buy a raw material will be how you are going to map that particular process in SAP, how you will execute that particular process by using a
ఓకే
software, and how
ఓకే సార్.
a SAP will support those business processes. We will tell you in SAP in the course.
ఓకే సార్.
Yeah.
థ్యాంక్ యూ. అదే అదే సార్ నా క్వశ్చన్. అంటే అంటే మ్యాప్ చేసుకుంటాం కదా సార్, దాని గురించి ఒక డీటెయిల్ ఇచ్చి మ్యాప్ అట్లా చెప్తారని నా ఉద్దేశం సార్.
Yes.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
Okay then, thank you. Bye bye. We can meet tomorrow. Thanks for joining the call. Have a good night.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
I'm closing the session. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.